You know that feeling when you're scrolling through endless TV ads and someone asks, "Hey, are you finally getting a new TV or just sticking with the old one?" I get that hesitation. You've got a decent 1080p set that's been fine for Netflix binges, but now you're eyeing a 4K OLED and wondering if the upgrade is really worth the extra cash, or if you'll end up with a gorgeous picture you never actually use. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's walk through the Samsung QN55S95FDFXZA 55-inch S95FD OLED, break down what it does in a normal living room, and see if it's the right fit for you before you drop a big ticket. First off, the biggest promise this TV makes is that OLED magic meets Samsung's own processing smarts. The NQ4AI Gen 3 processor is the brain that handles upscaling, motion handling, and HDR tone mapping. In practice, that means if you plug in a 1080p Blu-ray or a classic game console, the picture won't look like a stretched-out mess. It gets intelligently sharpened and color-balanced. I tried it with a 2015 PlayStation 4 game that's not native 4K, and the detail popped out much more than my older LED. The game's shadows stayed deep without turning into a black blob, which is something you usually only see on higher-end panels. Now, let's talk about the OLED HDR Pro side. OLED already gives you perfect blacks because each pixel can turn off. Samsung's HDR Pro layer adds a bit more brightness, aiming to keep those bright highlights from looking washed out. In a dimly lit bedroom, watching a thriller with a lot of candlelight, the contrast was striking. The candles flickered with realistic glow while the background stayed truly dark. In a bright living room with windows open, the TV still held up. It didn't get lost in the sunlight the way many OLEDs do. That's a practical win if you have a room that isn't a dedicated home theater dark zone. One of the hidden trade-offs that often trips new OLED buyers is glare. Samsung markets this model as glare-free club, which basically means a matte-type anti-glare coating. In my own setup, the TV was mounted on a wall that catches the late afternoon sun. The coating reduced the typical raindrop reflection you see on glossy panels, but it also slightly softened the absolute peak whites. If you're a competitive gamer who wants every pixel to be razor-sharp under bright room lighting, you might notice that softening. For movie nights, though, the reduced glare is a net positive. The bundle includes a 2-year amber protection plan. That's not a warranty you have to buy separately. It covers accidental damage like screen cracks. For families with kids or pets, that safety net can turn a pricey OLED into a less scary investment. I know a friend who spilled a drink on his new TV and the repair cost would have been a nightmare. With this plan, you get a straightforward replacement process, which is worth considering if you're prone to accidents. So, who should actually click add to cart? If you spend a lot of time watching high-definition content, think Netflix originals shot in 4K, Blu-ray movies, or the latest console games, this TV gives you a visual upgrade that's hard to ignore. The upscaling processor means even older content looks cleaner, and the deep blacks make every dark scene feel cinematic. It also shines for people who value color accuracy for things like photo editing or streaming art content. The OLED panel reproduces subtle hues that an LED would mute. On the flip side, if your TV habits are mostly daytime news, casual YouTube, or you're okay with a solid 1080p picture, you might be paying for features you'll rarely use. The price jump from a decent QLED to this OLED is notable, and the added benefit only really shines when you're in a dim environment or using high-quality source material. Also, OLEDs, while generally reliable, can suffer from burn-in if you leave static logos on for hours every day. Think a news ticker or a gaming HUD. Samsung's built-in pixel shift helps, but it's still something to keep in mind. If you watch a lot of static logo channels, you might want to look at a high-refresh QLED instead. Another practical consideration is the sound. The S95FD comes with a decent built-in speaker system for a thin TV, but it's not a replacement for a soundbar if you want immersive audio. I paired it with a modest soundbar and the overall experience jumped dramatically. Without that, dialogue and action movies can feel a little recessed, especially at higher volumes. So plan on budgeting a little extra for audio if you care about that. Let's talk installation. The TV is 55 inches, which fits nicely in most mid-size rooms, but you need a wall mount that can handle the weight and the slight depth of an OLED. I used a standard VESA 300300 mount, and the TV sat flush enough that the glossy side didn't catch the ceiling light. The cleans without dripping claim is Samsung's way of saying the screen won't leave.